Like every morning, Daphne went to her favorite local cafe to get her coffee and breakfast sandwich. She left the cafe after she'd paid. A few minutes later, she returned, looking anxious, because she had forgotten her wallet. Strangely, it was nowhere to be found. She called the police to report the incident. Nobody had left the store, so the thief was still there when the officer arrived. He started questioning everyone. Jenny, the cashier, said that Daphne was a regular customer and she had known her for a long time. So, she would never steal her wallet, and she didn't see it after Daphne had paid. Andre was a tourist visiting the city for the first time. He said he'd come to the cafe because he'd wanted to try their famous muffins. She claimed he hadn't seen the wallet. He was busy trying to pick what type of muffin he should get at the time. And Harry worked as a store clerk. He said that he'd come there to grab a coffee, and he didn't see the wallet because he was pouring milk into his coffee. So who do you think stole the wallet? It was Harry, the store clerk, or should I say Harold. Do you see his name tag? He lied about his name when he ordered his drink. Also, even though he said he was pouring milk in his coffee, as you can see, it doesn't have any milk in it. Jessica was an aspiring actor, and she had a big musical theater audition that day. She left her house early in the morning to make it on time, but she had forgotten to take her sheet music with her, so she had to drive back. When she walked in, though, she saw her roommate lying on the floor unconscious. A nurse was standing beside her. She explained to Jessica that her roommate had been poisoned, but luckily, she'd had enough time to call an ambulance before she passed out. Jessica immediately realized something was wrong. She thanked the nurse for helping her friend and asked her if she could get her a glass of water or anything else. The nurse agreed, and Jessica hurried to the kitchen. There, she called the police saying, "There's a fake nurse in my house. She poisoned my roommate and tried to rob her." How did Jessica understand that? When she arrived at the house, there was no ambulance car in the driveway or in the street. And it's not like paramedics started using Uber. And you might have also noticed that the paramedic bag the nurse was holding was slightly open, and Jessica's roommate's jewelry was dangling out of it. Anna and Catherine are both influencers, but take a look at the latest photos they posted. Which of these ladies do you think is richer? Catherine is richer, of course. Just look at the number of likes on her photo. She has 27,907 likes. Anna, on the other hand, has 9,837, which means that Catherine has way more followers and must be earning millions. Annie managed to buy presents for everyone except her dad. She knew what everyone wanted, but her dad was kind of secretive and not the talking type. He was also not great with technology and never bought anything online, so there was no way she could sneak into her dad's computer and check the saved items in his shopping cart. But he always liked to make lists in his little notebook, and Annie was sure she might be able to find a wish list there. So she sneaked into her father's office one day to look for the notebook. It was nowhere to be found, but his study table had a locked drawer. She looked for the key around the room but couldn't find it anywhere. That's when 2 different sticky notes attached to 2 different books inside the bookcase caught her eye. The first note was attached to a psychology book and had P5487TH written on it. The second note was attached to a detective novel and said P21320TH. Annie immediately knew what the notes meant. Can you guess what she had to do? She had to open to page 548 in the first book and find the 7th word on this page. Then, she had to open page 213 in the second book and find the 20th word on that page. The words she found were under and desk. The girl immediately looked under the desk and found the drawer key taped to it. James was walking back to his apartment from work late at night. Suddenly, he was hit on the head and taken away. When he woke up, he found himself in a small room. He tried to escape, but the door was locked with a padlock. James tried to look for the key, but there was nothing in there but a window with strange-looking metal bars. Suddenly, he noticed something. It helped him to find the key. Do you see it too? One of the metal bars is different from the others. That one is the key. Giselle was camping in the forest during a night when the moon was full. After midnight, when she was making s'mores by a fire, she heard a loud howl. There was a werewolf in the forest, and it managed to find Giselle's tent because it smelled of food there. Thankfully, Giselle was not in her tent anymore when the werewolf arrived because she had already run away. Hiding behind a tree, she watched the creature eat her s'mores and tear up the tent. When the werewolf left before sunrise, the girl returned to her tent, but everything was ruined. There was no more food or water left. Her cell phone had run out of battery, so she couldn't call anyone. She started wandering through the forest, and soon she came upon a witch's house. When she walked in, she saw the witch and another lady. Giselle asked the witch if she could send her home. The witch agreed to help her on one condition. She would only send Giselle home if she guessed her sister's name. If not, she would turn her into a frog. Giselle knew the answer, but how? Did you notice that the witch's sister is wearing the same necklace around her neck as the werewolf? Well, Giselle did, and there's a name written on the necklace: Abigail. Zoe went to a security guard and reported that her gym bag was missing. She said she'd gone to the ladies' restroom after her dance cardio class. She was fixing her hair when someone came up from behind and pushed her. So she didn't see the person who had taken her bag. The security guard refused to check the footage from the security camera that was outside the restroom. Neither did he file a report. Why? Zoe said she was fixing her hair, so she must have been looking in the mirror. If she was telling the truth about someone sneaking up from behind, she would have definitely seen their reflection. So, Zoe probably lied so that she could sue them. Luckily, the security guard was super smart. Several women went missing in a small town. James Darcy and his police team had been searching for months, but they couldn't find the place where the women were kept. One day, when Sandra was jogging, she decided to use another route to get home. As she was passing an old cabin, she heard screams coming from its basement. She immediately called James Darcy to report it. James and his team arrived at the place and busted in. They found there 3 women. They all said that they had been locked in the basement for months, but James knew one of them was lying. The first woman said that her name was Tammy and that she had spent almost 8 months in the basement. The second woman claimed that her name was Hannah and that she had been there for almost 5 months. The third woman told him that her name was Allison and that she had stayed there for about 3 months. Can you tell who the liar is? Allison is telling the truth. Look at her. Her clothes are dirty. Her hair is greasy. Her roots have started to grow out. She definitely hasn't seen daylight for a long time. The same goes for Hannah. But look at Tammy. She looks clean. Her clothes look new. Her hair and makeup look fresh, so it must be her who is lying. David spent his summer break at a science camp that was at a big space facility. When the summer break ended and school started, he told his friends from the science club all about his camp adventures. He said that at the facility, he had found a secret room. And in there was a time machine. He stepped into it and pressed some buttons to test if it really worked, and it did. He traveled through time and was able to talk to Nikola Tesla, Chuck Berry, and King Aragorn. But one of his friends immediately called him out for lying. How did he know that David made up this whole thing? Well, even if David actually managed to travel through time, he might have been able to talk to Nikola Tesla and Chuck Berry, but definitely not King Aragorn, because he is a fictional character.
A shrill ringing of your phone jolts you awake. Your friend, the best detective in the city, is on the line. I don't have time to explain. I'm leaving the city in 20 minutes. You'll have to replace me for the next week or two. Don't try to contact me. As he hangs up, you're left sitting on your bed, the phone in your hand, staring into the darkness of your room. You have to deal with your first case already in the morning. An anxious man rushes into your friend's office. I work as a cashier in a clothing store. Last night, I was the one to lock it up. As I was counting the money, the room suddenly went dark. There was some problem with the light bulb. I climbed the table and grabbed it, but by doing it, I burned my hand, jerked it back, fell to the floor, and lost consciousness. When I came to my senses, the money was gone. You examine the room attentively and realize the man is lying. What makes you think so? The light bulb the cashier told you about is an LED one. Such light bulbs don't get hot. Your first real case makes you hungry. You go to the nearest restaurant to get something to eat. But as soon as you enter, you hear loud, angry voices. A waitress and a visitor are arguing. You also ordered chicken wings, and you have to pay for this dish. It's the waitress. The visitor looks tired and sleepy. But I didn't. I haven't been here longer than an hour. Yes, I did doze off, but it doesn't mean I don't remember my order. You can't help but step in. You know very well that this man couldn't have ordered chicken wings, you say. How did you figure it out? You spotted a note on the wall. It says, "The kitchen works till 1 p.m. today." It's now 3 p.m. The man claims he's been there for an hour, which means he came well after the kitchen was closed. After the accident, you decide to have a meal at another cafe. But as you come closer, you see a crying lady. "I was going to cross the road when some woman grabbed my purse and disappeared. I noticed her enter this cafe. Can you help me get my things back?" You enter the cafe. "Ah, that's my purse, right between those two women. But I can't recognize the one who took it. I didn't have time to look at her attentively." You don't need much time to figure out which woman is guilty. It's the one on the left. The woman on the right has her left arm in a cast. If she had taken the purse, she'd have put it on the right side of herself. After such an eventful day, you're exhausted. You fall asleep as soon as your head touches the pillow. But you get woken up just a few hours later. Another day, another case.
"Oh, you're finally here."
A man tied to a chair looks happy.
"Someone broke into my house this night, tied me, and stole all our valuables. Our mailman came early in the morning to deliver newspapers. He must have heard me shouting for help and called the police. Luckily, all our stuff was insured. But I hope to deal with this problem before my wife finds out about this."
You arrest the man for attempting insurance fraud. Why? You paid attention that the newspapers were on the table in the hall, not lying on the floor near the mail slot. Someone must have put them there. It could only be the house owner or his wife, who was an accomplice. After the police arrive, you leave the man's house and immediately receive a new call. Mrs. Smith claims that her neighbor, Mrs. Miller, has stolen her laundry. The woman says she hung the laundry in her backyard at 10 a.m. And when she went out of the house 2 hours later, she saw Mrs. Miller putting it in her bag.
"I didn't do this. It's a lie."
The other woman looks angry. You look around and ask Mrs. Smith to go to the police station with you for trying to slander her neighbor. How did you figure out that Mrs. Smith was lying? It's freezing outside, and there's snow on the roofs. In 2 hours, damp laundry would be so frozen, it'd be impossible to fold it and put it in a bag. Your phone rings again. It's a woman who works at a museum.
"You must help me,"
she cries. When you arrive at the museum, she tells you her story.
"Yesterday, I stayed late at work. I needed to prepare some documents. I was sitting at this table. The overhead lights were off, and the only source of light was my desk lamp. I was listening to music when suddenly I saw a shadow to the right of the table. I realized it was a person jumping out of the open window. I immediately switched on the overhead lights and discovered that an ancient vase I kept in my office was gone. This vase costs hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You didn't believe this story. Why? If the only source of light had been a desk lamp standing in front of the woman, she wouldn't have noticed a shadow to the right of the table. It turns out that before leaving, your detective friend gave your contacts to all his acquaintances. And now, one of them needs your help. You arrive at his jewelry store. A client came there several hours ago, planning to buy an expensive diamond ring for his wife. But someone stole his wallet right in the store. The manager, he was the one to call you, asked all the visitors who were inside at that time to stay until your arrival. You look at all these people attentively. Soon you know who took the wallet. It's the man in the middle. He has a bandage on his right arm, but it's wrapped over the sleeve of his jacket, not hidden under it, like a real bandage would be. You knock on a sturdy brown door, while a woman with a bandage on her head stands next to you. A man opens the door. "Excuse me," you say. "A pot plant fell out of your window an hour ago and hit this woman on her head. I had to take her to the hospital. She's okay now, but you need to compensate this woman for the damage. May we come in?" The man turns pale, but lets you in.
It can't be true. Our windows were closed because we've just returned home. I literally entered my apartment 2 minutes before you came.
You realize this man is lying and call the police. How did you figure it out? You spotted a pan with boiling water in the kitchen. If the man had indeed come home just a few minutes ago, the water wouldn't have had enough time to start boiling. Now, it's your friend who needs help. She owns a grocery store. A gust of wind blew a $100 bill out of her hands, and the money seems to have vanished into thin air. Your friend thinks it was one of the customers who took the bill, but no one wants to admit stealing the money. You ask all visitors to go to your friend's office when a woman speaks up.
It's incredible to be accused of theft. Here, you can check my bags right now.
Please, just come with me to the office. We'll figure it out there, you say. After the woman refuses to follow you, you call the police. Why? The woman is standing on the $100 bill. If she follows you, everyone will see the money. The next morning, rainy and gloomy, you get your next case. To investigate it, you need to visit the office of a large international company. Rebecca, the girl who called you, works there. She says, "I've just come back from brunch and discovered that someone had knocked our HR manager out just an hour ago." You question the people who were in the office at that time. Laura is an applicant. She says she was a bit angry with the HR manager. He made her wait well past her appointment time.
"And still,"
the girl says,
"I would never hit another person. I'm also too weak to do it."
Gary, who works in the marketing department, claims he hasn't seen the HR manager since he arrived at work. He was in a meeting from the very morning till lunchtime. Jacob from Research and Development tells you he rode his bike to a coffee shop to get his cappuccino. He's just come back. You immediately realize who hit the HR manager. It was Jacob. Both his bike and his clothes are dry and clean. How is that possible if it's raining outside? You leave Rebecca's office and hear your phone beeping. You see a text with an address you don't know. You drive there. A man meets you at the door of a large building. He's shaking. When you enter a large dark hall, you see 2 containers filled with transparent liquid. 2 women are floating inside. They look identical.
"One of them is my wife, but I can't figure out which one, and I'm allowed to open only one container."
You walk around the women and examine them. Then you point at one of them. That's your wife. How did you figure it out? The man's name is Mark. It's written on his biker jacket. His wife is the woman with the letter M tattooed on her arm. Your phone beeps again. You look at it and see a message. It's from your detective friend. There's just one word on the screen. Help! But that's already another story.
3 friends, Ashton, Emma, and Lewis, went skydiving together. This is them right before they jumped out of the plane. Which of them is in danger? Ashton. He's wearing a regular backpack instead of his parachute. Amelia is running away from a group of zombies and comes across 3 doors. Behind the first one, there's a raging fire. Behind the second door, there's a deep lake. Behind the third door, there are venomous bees that bite everyone who enters. Which way is the safest? I'd choose the second door and then just swim away. It's just a lake. Amelia can probably do it. Esme was walking in the forest and got lost. It was late evening when she finally found a witch's house and asked the woman to help her get home. The witch recently got internet access and was shopping online, but there were lots of fake items on the internet and she needed to buy only original products. Unfortunately, she didn't know the correct logos, so she needed Esme's help. First of all, she wanted an iPhone. Which iPhone logo is the original one? Of course, this one. Next, she needed a pair of sneakers for her morning runs. Which logo is correct? Here it is. Next, she wanted to get a fancy purse. Which Chanel logo is correct? This one. The witch also wanted a BMW motorbike, but which one is the original logo? Yep, that's right. When the witch needs gas for her motorbike, what 7-Eleven should she go to? It's this one. Amazing! Now Esme can go back home. Evelyn went to a corporate party with her husband. At the party, she suddenly blacked out. When Evelyn woke up in a hospital, she couldn't remember anything. There were 2 men in front of her, and each of them claimed to be her husband. But which one tells the truth? Since Evelyn and her husband were at a corporate event, they were both dressed accordingly. The guy in a hoodie doesn't look formal enough, so her husband must be the one who's wearing a suit. Miss Lodge was going on a vacation. She cleaned up her office and left, taking the key with her. When she came back 2 weeks later, she immediately realized that someone had been to her office while she'd been away. How did she understand it? When she left, the window blinds were closed, and now they're open. A group of friends met in the evening for a game night. According to the rules of one of the games they played, they each had to draw a card with a number. Soon, they realized that the number 6 was missing. Since it was a new set of cards, it was weird that they had already lost it. They all revealed their cards and, indeed, there was no 6. Suddenly, one of the friends started to laugh. She said she'd found the missing card. Can you spot it too? The player who has a 9 actually has a 6, but he's holding it upside down. There are only 8 cards and the highest number is also 8. It was reported that another civilian had invaded Earth. Detective Callum had a special mission to find everyone who was not human. He entered a cafe searching for invaders and noticed one of them right away. Can you tell which customer is not human? It's that dark-haired guy right there. Look, he has 6 fingers. Take a look at this busy street. Can you find an imposter here? It's this guy. His clothes are super warm, but look, his face is blue. Now we're moving to the mall. Try to find an intruder here. Look, this woman is glimmering. She must be from another world. We have a few more intruders to catch. Detective Callum found out that one of them was at a local college, so he drove there. Which student is not human? Look, that girl is floating, just a couple of inches above the ground, but still, definitely not an ordinary student. After work, the detective went to the gym, but even there was someone from another planet. Can you spot them? Pay attention to the guy on the treadmill. He's running too fast. He must be an imposter. Arya called the police and reported that her friend Violet had been poisoned. The girl found her unconscious on the floor. Here's what Arya said. I was walking past Violet's house and noticed that the lights were on. I figured that she was at home, so I decided to come in and say hi. The front door was open, so I walked in and saw Violet just like that. The police officer asked her if she had touched anything. Arya answered that she had only touched Violet to check her pulse, and then her cell phone to make the call. The police detained her for further investigation. Why? The lights in the room are off, but Arya said that it hadn't been dark in the room. That's why she entered. If she didn't touch the switch, then she's lying now. It was a sunny spring Sunday morning. The whole family was at home. When Hannah returned to her room after breakfast, she noticed that someone had played a prank on her and stolen all the clothes from her closet. She questioned every person in the house. Hannah's mom said she'd been busy reorganizing her bedroom. Her dad said that he'd been shoveling snow in front of the house. The girl's sister, Serenity, said that she had been playing video games in her room. Who took Hannah's clothes? It was her dad. There is no snow outside. It's spring. He couldn't have been shoveling snow. So he lied. Tyler came back home and found a love letter in his mailbox. It was a very sweet one, but the sender didn't write their name. Instead, there was some code added at the end. Can you figure out the name of Tyler's secret admirer? The alphabet is the key. D plus 1 means the letter following D, which is E. O minus 3 means 3 letters before O, which is L. 2 letters after G is I. Z plus 0 is actually Z. And C minus 2 is A. It seems that the girl's name is Eliza. Kara likes traveling, but she's terrible at packing. So, your task is to check her suitcase and find one thing she doesn't need to take with her. Kara is going camping with her friends. What's that extra thing she packed that she needs to leave at home? There's no electricity in the forest. She can leave this electric kettle at home. This time, Kara is packing for her vacation in Mexico. She and her boyfriend have booked a room in a beautiful hotel, right by the ocean. What won't she need there? She probably won't need the towel. Hotels usually provide them and replace them every day with clean ones. This time, Kara is going on a ski trip with a group of friends. The task is the same. What won't she need there? I'm not sure about their plans, but she isn't likely to need this swimsuit. And finally, Kara is going to visit her grandparents. They live on a farm, and she'll stay there for a week. There's no electricity or running water there. So it's gonna be a bit tough for a girl from a big city. What doesn't she need to take with her? I think it's this hairdryer. No electricity, remember? Weston Jones, a young businessman, was found poisoned in his office. Detective Callum arrived to investigate the case. He had 3 suspects: Mr. Jones' cousin, Leah Jones, his business partner Kenneth Brown, and his girlfriend, Emery. Leah said that she hadn't seen Weston for a while. Kenneth said they'd had an argument, but he hadn't poisoned his partner. And Emery said she loved Weston and would never have done anything like that. Who should Detective Callum arrest? Look, there's a lipstick stain on one of the teacups in Mr. Jones's office. The color matches Leah's lipstick, but she said that she hadn't seen her cousin lately. She must be lying. Ariana was poisoned, and Detective Callum was on the case. One of the main suspects was Jake, Ariana's sister's boyfriend. Someone saw them together, and Detective Callum visited him. Good afternoon. I'm sorry to tell you this, but your girlfriend's sister, Ariana, has been poisoned. Do you know anything about it? And do you maybe have any photos with her? Jake said, Oh, poor Ari. I've never met her, but my girlfriend loves her very much. Yes, I have a picture of their family. The detective looked at the photo and arrested Jake. Why? Look, Jake is in the photo too. It means that he must have met Ariana. Then why would he lie about it? Esme was walking through the forest. Yep, again. And you know what? She got lost. She had been wandering around until she found the witch's house. She said, "Hi," petted the cat, and asked the witch to show her the way home. The witch had a task for Esme. She needed several magical artifacts for her new spell, but she only knew their shapes. And Esme had to figure out which of the artifacts the witch needed. Here's the first set. Those are magical crystals. Which of them is the one the witch needs? Here it is. Okay, here are several plants. Can you spot the one the witch needs? Yes, here it is. Now there are several types of insects. Which one of them is the one the witch needs? Perfect. Here it is. And the last crystal. What's your guess? It's right there. Esme's free to go this time. Thank you for your assistance.
Holly went to the supermarket to buy a watermelon. She found these 4 watermelons, but only one of them is edible. Can you guess which one? The first watermelon is a hologram. See those flashing pixels? The tail of the second watermelon is a green snake, probably not the safest choice. And the fourth watermelon has little cracks. So, Holly should choose the third watermelon. One dark, cold night, Harry and Pam were chilling together in their country house. Harry was watching a movie while his wife Pam enjoyed her favorite mystery book. Suddenly, all electricity went out. Harry decided to go to bed, but Pam decided to finish the book. There was no artificial light around, but this fact didn't stop Pam. How is that possible? Pam was listening to an audiobook on her phone. It's big on Saturday and Sunday. It's small on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's absent on Monday and Friday. What are we talking about? It's the letter S. Bella and Ken took a flight to Europe to celebrate their honeymoon. It took them 2.5 hours to reach the destination. After spending 2 weeks together, they flew back home. However, it took 150 minutes this time, even though the plane flew at the same speed. Can you guess why? Turns out that 2.5 hours are exactly 150 minutes. Karen went camping in a jungle with her 3 best friends. They had a wonderful dinner and went to sleep. In the morning, Karen woke up first and found out that someone had eaten all the food from the bag. She questioned her friends. Josh said, "I was very tired and fell asleep as soon as my head touched the pillow. I don't know what happened." Leah said, "I left the tent in the middle of the night to go to the toilet. The food was in the bag near the tree where we left it." Wendy said, "I left the tent at night and spent some time stargazing. I ate just 1 chocolate, I swear." Who ate the food? It was the monkey who was hiding in the tree. See those footprints around the bag? They are definitely not human. Gerald is a college dean. Somebody stole his car this morning. Soon the police found it across the street. The thief hit a pole and escaped. The police interviewed 3 suspects. Holly said, "I was busy having classes all morning. Then I went for a walk with my friends." Brian said, "I was checking the test papers." Rob said, "I skipped classes and spent the day at my girlfriend's studio." Can you guess who stole the car? It was Holly. Take a closer look inside the car. She lost one of her earrings. The combined age of Jenny and Jasmine is 49 years old. Jenny is twice as old as Jasmine was when Jenny was as old as Jasmine is now. How old are the sisters? Jenny is 28 and Jasmine is 21. Lisa likes grapes but not potatoes. She likes squash but not lettuce. Also, she likes peas but not onions. Following the same rule, will she like pumpkins or apples? Pumpkins, because Lisa only prefers things that grow on vines. Which of the following words don't belong to this group and why? Courts. All the other words are anagrams of each other. 2 people participated in a contest. They had to hold something. Finally, the jury announced the winner. It was a person with their hands and feet tied. How can this be possible? It's all simple. The contestants had to hold their breath, and the tied person managed to hold it the longest. Becky is thinking about a 7-letter word that we read very often. Letters 5, 6, and 7 grow every year. Letters 3 and 4 are the same. Letters 3, 2, and 5 cover over 70% of the world. What word is Becky thinking of? The correct answer is message. Our age grows every year, and the sea covers over 70% of the planet. Amy is looking at Nick, and Nick is looking at Mia. Amy is married, and Mia is not. Is a married person looking at the unmarried person? Will you go with a yes or a no? Or is this information insufficient? The correct answer is yes. 2 combinations are possible here. If Nick is married, Mia, who is unmarried, is looking at him, who is married. If Nick is unmarried, we still have Amy, who is married. In this case, she's looking at Nick, who is single, which meets the requirements too. 5 friends were eating apples. Amy finished before Bob, but after Kat. Dan finished before Eve, but after Bob. Can you figure out the exact order in which they finished the apples? Kat, Amy, Bob, Dan, and Eve. Eric's job is to guard a supermarket parking lot. One day, he was walking around the area as usual and noticed that someone had parked the car in the middle of the driveway. He questioned 4 women. "Ladies, who is the owner of this car?" All 4 women replied, "It's not my car." Eric took a closer look at the vehicle and figured out its owner right away. Can you guess which of these women is the owner of the car? It's the First Lady. She's the only person who's not wearing a bag. Her bag is in the car. Peter came home in the evening and found his car wrecked. His 3 roommates were there. Peter decided to find out who was guilty, so he questioned them. Josh replied, "I didn't touch your car. I was walking the dog." Mike said, "That wasn't me. I was playing football with my friend." And Will said, "Nothing special happened today. I was just hanging out with our neighbors." Can you spot the liar? It's Will. He said he'd visited the neighbors, but nobody lives in this abandoned house. Plus, his cheek looks like he was in a crash. Sophie was sleeping. Suddenly, a robber broke into her apartment. He locked Sophie in the bathroom and asked her to stay quiet. Then the robber began to collect cash and jewelry around the apartment. Suddenly, the phone started ringing. The robber told Sophie to pick up and talk without giving away the situation. Sophie picked up the phone. It was her husband. She said, "Oh, hi, darling. Is it an emergency, darling? Give me a call when you land. I'll cook your favorite meal that will help you relax after your business trip." Then she hung up. 10 minutes later, the police arrived at Sophie's house and caught the robber. Can you guess how the police learned about the robbery? Sophie played with the mute buttons. She pressed mute on specific parts of her conversation to make her husband only hear emergency, call, and help. And he called the police right away. Rick woke up in a weird basement and saw 3 doors. He has only one chance to escape. If he enters one of the doors, he won't be able to use them again. The first door leads to a room with high-voltage wires hanging above the wet floor. Behind the second door, there's a room filled with water and piranhas swimming in it. The third door leads to a space where flesh-melting acid rain is falling from the ceiling. Which door is more or less safe to enter? Rick should choose the first door. He'll be okay if he won't let his body come in contact with the wires and the wet floor at the same time. Jerry called his wife Robin and told her that he would be home by 7 o'clock. They didn't plan anything special for that evening, but when he arrived at 2 minutes past 7, Robin was furious. Why was she so angry? Any ideas? She thought her husband would come home after work by 7 p.m., but he appeared by 7:02 a.m. the next morning. When the day after tomorrow is yesterday, today will be as far from Wednesday as today was from Wednesday when the day before yesterday was tomorrow. What is the day after this day? Can you guess? It's Thursday. Harry and Barry are 2 magicians performing this evening in 2 nightclubs on the same street. But one of them is fake. Can you guess who? It's Barry. Take a closer look under the magician's tuxedo. On the right, you can see a restaurant employee badge with his name on it. He must be a waiter who came instead of the real magician. A monkey, a squirrel, and a bird are racing to the top of a coconut tree. Who will get the banana first, the monkey, the squirrel, or the bird? None of them, because bananas don't grow on coconut trees. Bonnie is cooking dinner. She has 3 stoves, a gas stove, a wood stove, and a coal stove, but only one match. What should she light first of all? The match! You are a bus driver. 9 people get on the bus, and 3 people get on. Then 2 more people get on, and another 1 gets off. Finally, 4 more people get on, and 2 get off again. How old is the bus driver? Whatever your age is, remember the question? You're the driver. Look at the picture attentively. Can you say who didn't help to build the doghouse? Yep, it's the man on the right. He's holding a brick, but the doghouse is made of wood. Sarah was a popular guitar player in a rock band. On Friday, the band was going to have a big gig. Sarah's bandmates were waiting for her, but the girl was very late. Eventually, she did show up, but it wasn't Sarah. It was her twin sister, Alice. She was envious of Sarah, so she locked her sister in a room, took her clothes and the guitar, and pretended to be a band member. But as soon as the musicians saw fake Sarah, they immediately knew she wasn't their bandmate. How did they understand? Look at how long the girl's nails are. But you need to have short nails to play the guitar. A man came to a fruit market to sell watermelons. After he sold half of them and half of a watermelon, he saw he had 1 watermelon left. How many watermelons did he bring to the market? He came there with 3 watermelons. Cheryl ran into the house, extremely worried. "I set off as soon as I heard the news," she told the police officer. "I was at my parents' house in another town. I left a week ago and was supposed to stay there for at least 10 more days. What's happened to my husband?" "Somebody hit Mr. Brown on the head. He was taken to a hospital, but he's going to be okay. I've been questioning the suspects." Mr. Brown's secretary said, "He sent me to his business partner earlier in the morning. Some important documents needed signatures." The cook said, "I haven't left the kitchen today. Mr. Brown wanted me to prepare a meal for the whole family." The housekeeper said, "I didn't hear anything. I was doing some household chores all day long. After that, I was so tired, I decided to take a nap." The detective realized who the culprit was in no time. Who was it? It was the cook. Mrs. Brown's wife was out of town. There was no need to cook a lot all day long. Olivia was running a marathon. Right before the finish line, she did her best and outran the person who was running in second place. The woman was happy. She was going to win. But in a few seconds, she got very disappointed. Why? Olivia was in second place. She was faster than the person in the second place, but not the first. Look at this image attentively. Can you guess which person is a ghost? Look at the woman on the right. She has no legs and is just floating through the air. Amanda loved dogs very much. One day, she was walking in the park and saw a lovely corgi. The dog was friendly, and Amanda even petted the animal. Soon, the pooch's owner appeared, and the girl asked him how old the dog was. Well, in 2 years, Luna will be twice as old as she was 5 years ago. Amanda nodded and continued her walk. And did you understand how old the dog was? Luna is 12 years old. Liza worked as a teaching assistant at a college. That day, she had to look after a group of students who were writing an exam. Lisa knew some of them were going to cheat, and indeed, soon after the exam started, the girl spotted one person who was cheating. Who was it? It's the guy in the back of the classroom. He's got the answers written on his arm. Jacob wakes up locked in a basement. He has no idea how it happened or who is behind this. Near his bed, he finds a note. 2 + 2 equals fish. 3 + 3 equals 8. 7 + 7 equals triangle. Explain this and you'll be free. Can you help Jacob get out of the basement? Stack the first number and the second one that is flipped backwards, and you'll get a fish, number 8, and a triangle. 2 guards were looking in different directions. One had to make sure there was no danger coming from the west. The other was turned toward the east. At one point, one of the guards asked the other, "Why are you smiling?" But how could he know his companion was smiling? The men were indeed looking in the opposite directions, but they weren't standing back to back. They were facing each other. Brian was walking down the stairs when his foot slipped and he tumbled. When the guy came to his senses, he discovered he was mostly unharmed, but he couldn't remember anything. Suddenly, 2 women entered the house. They looked exactly the same. When they found out what had happened, each of them started to claim Brian was her husband. Can you help the guy understand which one is his real wife? It's Rachel. She has a tattoo on the same arm as the girl in the wedding photo. Oliver was sailing his yacht when a storm started. The yacht sank in the middle of the ocean. After swimming for hours, the guy finally reached a deserted island. He saw several men there. They told Oliver they would keep him locked in one of the caves on the island. Oliver agreed, but asked them to grant him one last wish. When he told the men what this wish was, they set him free. Why? He said, "I want the smartest of you to lock me there. Oh, by the way, you get extra points if you caught my error in the description. An island with several men on it is not deserted." One of Kenneth's professors at university had an unconventional way of grading his students. On Wednesday, Kenneth and his friends had to write a test, but their professor gave each of them a picture. You need to figure out how many people there are in this image. Those of you who will come up with the correct answer won't need to write the test. Can you help Kenneth figure out the right number of people? There are 6 people in the picture. 5 of them are visitors, and one more person is looking through a peephole in the painting on the right. Emily was walking in the park when she saw 2 teenagers sitting on a bench. They were arguing who should pay for riding an electric scooter. Each of them claimed it was the other one who used the scooter. Emily didn't need much time to understand who had to pay. Can you figure it out too? Look at the footprints. The girl was the one to ride the electric scooter. Dennis is taking part in a competition. If his last answer is correct, he'll get a prize, an expensive watch. But first, he needs to figure out which of these 2 watches is real and which is just a toy. The watch on the left is a toy. Look at its minute hand. It's too long and won't be able to pass all the way around the watch face. Mr. and Mrs. Anderson wanted to celebrate their wedding anniversary. They were going to organize an extravagant party and invite hundreds of guests. But Mrs. Anderson was worried about all the expensive stuff they had at their villa. The couple decided to invite a detective to look after the guests. And indeed, in the middle of the party, the detective noticed a thief. Look at the people gathered in the garden and try to spot the criminal. It's the guy on the left. He's trying to steal a woman's bracelet. Look at the picture attentively. What is the missing number? It's 4. All these numbers indicate how many times the lines cross in each case. There are 100 books on a shelf. To count off 10 of them, you'll need 10 seconds. So, how much time will you spend counting off 70 books? Just 30 seconds. You need this time to count off 30 books, and the rest will make 70. One morning, Donna came to the office and found a box of chocolates on her desk. There was also a strange note. October 7th, May 3rd, August 1st, January 3rd. Can you help Donna understand who presented her the sweets? Her secret admirer is Ryan. Those are not dates. The number actually means the needed letter in the name of the month. Mark was going to an important business meeting. He was running a bit late. That's why he was driving fast. Unfortunately, the man got into a car accident. Both he and the other driver were okay, but the cars were badly damaged. Mark called the police. When they arrived, Mark explained the situation. I was driving fast, but I wasn't breaking any rules. Suddenly, a car pulled out in front of me. I didn't have enough time to brake. The other driver exclaimed, "This whole accident is your fault. I was driving slowly, talking to my wife about our weekend plans, and then you appeared out of nowhere." The police officers immediately understood who was responsible for the accident. Do you know it? It was the other driver. He was alone in his car. It means he was talking to his wife on the phone, which is illegal. Detective Mitchell was following a bank robber. But after the criminal turned the corner, he seemed to vanish into thin air. After wandering around for a while, the detective came across a small park with a lake. Right on the shore, there were several marble statues. The man was about to pass by when something drew his attention. He realized where the criminal was. Can you figure it out? One of the statues is looking at its watch. It's the bank robber. James escaped from prison and ran to the countryside. Suddenly, on a small dark road, he saw a police car heading in his direction. James ran toward the car for some time, then jumped off the road and rushed into the woods. Why did he run toward the car first? James was in the middle of a bridge when he saw the car. He had to run toward the vehicle to get off of the bridge.
A high-speed express train is leaving in 15 minutes. Security guards are scanning everyone's bags and find one of these 3 bags very suspicious. Can you guess which one? It's the second luggage. This lady has a heavy book among her things, and the title, Dictionary, has the wrong spelling. Maybe it's just a cover to hide something suspicious? The train departs. Unfortunately, this area is full of rocks, so the road is winding a lot. Only one of these routes will lead the train to the final destination. Can you guess which one? Only the third route is correct. Susan is a first-class passenger. She orders a cup of tea. The waiter brings her what she asked for. Suddenly, Susan sees a fly in her cup and gets terrified. The waiter takes her cup and goes to the kitchen. Then, he returns with a fresh cup of tea. But Susan yells, "You brought me the same cup of tea! Gross!" How did she know? Susan already had added sugar. The tea was sweet when the waiter brought it back. Susan gets bored and takes a walk around the train. She enters a rail car with 3 passengers only: Xavier, Gerald, and Peter. One of them can't wait to meet his 2 daughters when the train arrives at the final destination. He promised to take them to the beach. Can you tell which guy it is? It's Gerald. He has 3 bucket hats on top of his suitcase. These 2 cute bucket hats still have price tags, so he probably bought them for his daughters as a gift. The train has arrived. Gerald rents a car to go to the mansion in the forest where his family lives. Unfortunately, the road is surrounded by multiple possessed wild animals. Suddenly, a black cat jumps on the windshield and Gerald crashes into a tree. He has to leave the car and walk to the mansion on his feet. Soon, Gerald finds himself at a crossroad. Can you guess which route is more or less safe? A, B, or C? All 3 routes have animal footprints. The bushes on the first route are moving even though it's not windy. This means that some animals are hiding behind them. And there's a pair of eyes shining in the dark on the third route. So Gerald will have to move quickly through the second route. It begins to rain heavily. Gerald finds a fancy mansion along the way. The owner invites him inside the house to hide from the rain and grab some snacks. Gerald agrees and finds himself at a glamorous party. There are 3 models eating in the buffet. One of them is broke. Can you guess who? The second lady. Take a look at her bag. She hides some food for later. Gerald walks around the mansion and sees 2 roommates. One of them is a thief. Can you guess who? It's not the first maid. There's an open safe with diamonds and cash in front of her, but she doesn't do anything. Meanwhile, the second lady has already hidden a diamond in her bucket, so she's the thief. Gerald eats a snack and falls asleep. He wakes up in an old basement. The mansion owner locked him up. Gerald finds a sheet of paper on the floor. It says, "I'll give you a chance to get out of here. The key to the door is inside this closed bag. Try to get it." Gerald tries to rip up the bag, but the fabric is too tough. He tries to tear it using his teeth, but he almost breaks a tooth. How can Gerald get the key? He should break a jar and use a fragment of glass to cut the bag and get the key. Gerald opens the door and enters a storage room. There are 3 doors leading to freedom. A forest full of hungry predatory animals is hiding behind the first door. The second route is filled with toxic gas that's impossible to stand for even a second. And there's a fire behind the third door. Which way is more or less safe? Gerald should choose the third door. There are bottles of water in the room, and the fire is rather small. Gerald can easily put it out. Finally, Gerald is outdoors. But there are 3 hidden dangers in this garden. Can you find them? There's a crocodile in these rose bushes. A laser beam alarm system is on. And a scorpion is hiding in a tree. Gerald runs away through the forest, but something's wrong with this place. Can you spot 3 odd details? Take a look at this spruce. Lemons don't grow on this type of tree. This beehive is inhabited by butterflies. Also, there are 2 moons in the sky. Gerald checks into the local motel to get some rest. He leaves his golden watch on the bed and goes to buy some coffee. In an hour, he returns to the room and sees that someone had stolen the watch. Gerald interrogates 3 suspects. The maid says, "I only entered your room once today to clean it before check-in. I have a master key, but it's always with me in my pocket." The woodworker says, "I entered your room an hour ago to fix a creaky bed. Everything's fine now." And Gerald's neighbor says,
"I was feeling sick, that's why I went to bed earlier, so I didn't hear anything weird."
Who stole Gerald's watch? Nobody. The golden watch fell under the bed. See? The next morning, Gerald goes to the motel's lobby to check out. He finds the manager, Lauren, lying unconscious on the floor. Gerald calls the police. They figure out that someone has put Lauren to sleep using an unknown substance and took all the cash. The police officer questioned 3 people who last saw Lauren conscious and healthy: Rose, Violet, and Lily. After checking out the crime scene, the officer arrests one of the witnesses. Can you guess who and why? Lily. Take a look at her hair extensions. They're not distributed evenly. That's because Lauren pulled out one strand and squeezed it in her fist. She wanted to leave a clue leading to the criminal. Gerald has just come back from his long trip. He's trying to open a suitcase, but realizes that he has forgotten the 4-number code. Luckily, Gerald left a note that can help him remember the code. Can you figure out the code? That would be too easy to use the given numbers as they are. To crack this mystery, we should mind the numbers of letters in each given number. So, the correct code is 5364. Finally, Gerald can keep his promise and takes his daughters to the beach. He also takes some food for a picnic. Can you guess the name of this food by emojis? Sandwich. Gerald and his wife Anna have a lot in common: daughters, careers, and a big house. They do everything together. One day, Anna comes home really late. She's tired but happy. Gerald gets jealous and yells at her. Anna flames out too. "I was working all evening." Gerald says, "Sorry, Anna, I don't believe you. It looks like you're dating someone else." Anna refuses to talk and goes to bed alone. Meanwhile, Gerald waits for Anna to fall asleep and checks her purse. He finds nail polish, a wallet, a pack of gum, lipstick, and some keys. Now Gerald is completely sure Anna was seeing someone else. How did he know? The keys are definitely not from their house. The next morning, Gerald receives an email from his boss. Can you guess the meaning of this message? It means, "Great job, you got it." This type of code is called a Caesar box, because Julius Caesar was known as the first one to write codes this way. To decipher the message, simply divide the code into 4 groups of 4. Then rearrange them vertically.
Robert was a collector of rare coins. One day, the man called the police. "I got this coin only yesterday," he cried. "I've been looking for it for several years, and now it's gone. I'll bet it's one of my brothers. Frederick and Matthew live together with me. One of them collects ancient books, and the other is crazy about rare stamps. All our collections are kept in one large room." The police started to ask Robert for more details. It turned out that the key from the room where all the collections were was kept in a vase standing on the fireplace. The only person who visited the house was Robert's friend, Mark. The man liked the coin so much that he started offering big money for it. But Robert didn't agree to sell it. In the morning, he came to check on the coin, but it was missing. When the police arrived, they found out the room had been opened with the key. The police didn't find any fingerprints either. Do you know who stole the coin? It was Mark. He was the only person who had a reason for getting rid of the fingerprints. The brothers' fingerprints would be absolutely natural since they lived there. There was a blackout in the city, but the bus driver still noticed a dog on the road and managed to stop in time. How did he do this? This accident happened during the day. It's nothing but holes tied to other holes. At the same time, it's as strong as steel, but not as stiff as a pole. What is it? It's a chain. Stephen's wife called the police and told them her husband had disappeared right from his garage. It happened several hours ago. The only thing she found there was a left-hand glove. When the police came, they saw it was a very peculiar glove. Such gloves were sold only in one store in their town. The store owner told them he had recently sold these gloves only to two people, Kevin, Stephen's neighbor, and Brian, Stephen's colleague at work. The police officers visited Kevin and asked the man to show them his gloves, but Kevin had just one. "I lost the other glove a week ago, and I don't have any other gloves." The man even pulled the glove on to demonstrate it to the officers. Then the police visited Brian. "I was wearing these gloves when I was repairing my car. They got so dirty that I threw them away." Who do you think knows something about Stephen's disappearance? Brian. Kevin put his glove on his left hand, and the glove Stephen's wife found was also for the left hand. A math teacher told his students about the Roman numerals. After that, he asked them to draw just one continuous line and turn IX into 6. The only condition was that the students were not to lift their pens from the paper until the line was finished. Jeffrey was the first to complete this task. How did he do this? He drew the letter S in front of IX and got 6. Both Sharon and Cynthia had a box of chocolates each. There were 14 chocolates in each box. Sharon ate several candies, and Cynthia ate the same number of chocolates that were left in Sharon's box. How many chocolates do they have together now? They still have 14 chocolates together. Kimberly inherited an old house from her rich aunt. When the young woman was exploring the cellar, she came across a massive wooden door. She opened it and saw a small room. In that room, there were 3 bags and a note on the floor. One of the bags has $1 million, and the others are empty. You can only open one bag, so think carefully. Kimberly also noticed there was a message on each bag. On the first bag it said, "The cash is not here." The message on the second bag was, "The cash is not here." And the message on the third bag claimed, "The cash is in the second bag." If only one message is true, which bag has the money? The money can't be in the second or third bags. If it was so, then 2 messages would be true. It means the money is in the first bag. When you look for something, you always find it in the last place where you search. Why is that? It's always the last place where you look because, after this, there's no need to continue your search. A married couple went on a vacation and asked their neighbor to look after their house. When they returned, the wife found out that she had lost all her expensive jewelry, and it happened because of a power failure, no less. The woman had hidden her jewelry in a supposedly safe place. The house hadn't been burgled. The neighbor was an honest person. The jewelry had disappeared by accident. What happened? The wife hid her jewelry in the freezer in a bag with frozen food. After the power failure, the food got spoiled. The neighbor decided to help and threw away all the bad food from the fridge, along with the jewelry. You're locked in a room with 3 doors. It's safe to walk through any of them, but the doorknobs are the real problem. One of them puts out high voltage. The second is covered with poison. Just 1 drop on your skin and you won't survive. And the third doorknob is so hot it will make your hand burn. What doorknob should you opt for? The second one. You can take off any piece of clothing and open the door with its help. This way you won't touch the doorknob with your bare hand. A woman was hit by a car that sped away right after the accident. When the police arrived, they found several witnesses who described the car. The detective went to the house of one of the suspects. There, he saw a car that looked like the one in the description. But when he questioned its owner, the man claimed he had spent the whole day at home. The detective realized the suspect was lying right away. How? He touched the hood of the car. It was still warm from the engine. I was driving along the highway when one of my tires burst. I stopped to change it, but when I came back to the car, I saw it had a flat battery. I looked around and realized I was in the middle of a small town. I decided to wait for someone who could help me. Suddenly, I heard glass shatter. The night was very dark, so I switched on the headlights and saw a man climbing out of a house. He was carrying a large bag. I got scared and ran to the nearest police station. That was Mr. Darrison's story. The police detective who was listening to him asked, "And where did you hide everything you had stolen from that house?" How did he come to that conclusion? If Mr. Darrison's car battery was flat, how could he switch on the headlights? Dylan was trapped in a basement. The only thing he found inside was a note and a pen. Find the way to get 200 out of 188 with one line, and you'll be free. 5 minutes later, the door opened automatically, and Dylan was free. What did he do? He drew the line to divide 188 horizontally. That way, he got 2 ones and 4 zeros. A woman in a purple dress exclaimed, "I've never been to this store, Cinderella dresses. What kind of name is this?" But many people claim that a woman in purple took all the money from the cash desk while the shop assistant was away and ran out of the store, Detective Smith told the woman. The woman exclaimed, "I was just standing outside when suddenly a woman charged at me. Of course, I got scared and ran away. Then a police officer saw me running and stopped me. I agreed to return to the store, hoping it'd clear up the confusion. Several visitors said I could be the thief, but they weren't sure. Now I know you're the woman who stole the money," the detective said. How did he figure it out? The woman said return to the store, which means she had been there before and lied about the whole situation. Your company produces shoes. You have 2 factories in different cities. The workers of both factories have started to steal shoes. You can't use any additional security, but you have to stop the theft. How can you do it? One factory should start making only left shoes, and the other only right ones. Detective Aaron Bowler participated in a competition organized by a private consultant who came from Europe. Aaron wanted to become the Detective of the Year very much. It was the evening of the last day of the competition. The consultant explained what would happen next. You will all gather in a large room. Once you hear a shot outside, you'll need to rush in and find the criminal. The winner will be the person who will get to them first. You aren't allowed to use any equipment or tools. Several hours passed, and the people in the room started to get nervous. Suddenly, Aaron got up and went to another room. His colleagues asked him where he went, but the guy only answered, "I need to get ready for the chase," and he took a seat without switching on the light. Several minutes later, the detectives heard the shot. Aaron ran outside and was the first to catch the criminal. The consultant gave the man his prize and asked, "What helped you to be the first?" What did Aaron answer? His eyes didn't need to get used to the darkness outside because he had already spent some time in a dark place.
Vicky has as many brothers as sisters, but each of her brothers has only half as many brothers as sisters. How many brothers and sisters are there in Vicky's family? The correct answer is 4 sisters and 3 brothers. The key to solving this is to keep it simple. Just count the sisters and brothers in total and in terms of their own number of siblings. Vicky is a music teacher. One day, she came over to her student's house to give him a lesson. The door was unlocked, so Vicky got in. Her student, Mr. Green, was lying on the couch with the flu. He was very weak, and Vicky decided to call the 3 best doctors in this town. Since Mr. Green was really rich and influential, many people wanted to get rid of him. That's why his bodyguards had to search the doctors before they began any treatment. It turned out that one of the doctors was a criminal. Can you tell which one? This guy. Why does he need an axe? Mr. Green got well and returned to his business duties. He runs a small company producing expensive diamond rings. On Friday, when the working week was finally over, he got a call from his bank. Mr. Green found out that someone had stolen all the money he had. He suspected that it might have been one of his employees, so he asked each of them what they'd been doing that day. Helen, the jeweler, said she always made 2 rings a day and showed all the rings she had made that week. Jesse, the sales manager, said that he had been busy meeting with the clients. And Amber, the cleaner, said that she'd been cleaning the office every day as usual, and she didn't notice anything suspicious. Who lied? Helen. There are 5 working days in a regular week. She said she made 2 rings a day, but she only showed 8 rings. It means she missed 1 day of work. Vicky was walking down a shopping mall. Suddenly, she heard screams. Looking outside the window and saw 2 women in big trouble. Can you tell who has more chances to survive? Look at this lady's hand. It's made of metal. She's a robot, so she'll more likely survive this adventure. One morning, Vicky was walking in the park and noticed this missing cat poster. Can you help her find the cat in this area? It's hiding in this old lady's bag. Vicky explained to the old lady that the cat had been missing, but the old lady refused to give the cat away so easily. First of all, Vicky had to solve her riddle. I can whistle, I can howl, I can scream, and I can whisper, but I don't speak. What am I? Can you help Vicky? The correct answer is wind. After getting the cat, Vicky headed to its owner's home. She walked through this beautiful park. Can you spot what's wrong here? This bench doesn't have legs. It's literally flying in the air. Vicky brought the cat to its owner, Diana. She was very glad to get her pet back and invited Vicky for dinner. Vicky was very hungry and agreed. Diana served these 4 dishes with various foods, but only one of them is safe to eat. Can you tell which one? The coconut cake is sprinkled with some human nails. If you look closely at this tomato soup, you'll notice some metal nails. Something's moving inside this burger, so this pasta is the only edible dish here. After dinner, Diana made a confession. She was a real witch, but Vicky didn't believe in magic at all. That's why Diana offered her this deal.
If you solve my riddle, I'm gonna use some magic to fulfill your biggest wish. I'm beautiful, up in the sky, I'm magical, yet I cannot fly. To some people, I bring luck. To some people, wealth. What am I?
Can you help Vicky out? The correct answer is rainbow. Vicky has always wanted to become a famous singer. She received an invitation to a singing contest. Vicky sang beautifully and won first place. After the performance, she drank a glass of water backstage. After that, Vicky felt very sick. The contest manager called the ambulance. Doctors said that someone had poisoned Vicky. The police questioned 3 suspects and searched their bags. Lily said, I was crying in the dressing room. This contest meant so much to me. Jessica said, Who do you think I am? Singers should stand for each other. And Rose said, I was outside the music hall with Lily. She was crying because she had lost this competition. Who poisoned Vicky? Lily said she was in the dressing room, while Rose said that they had been outdoors. Therefore, 1 or 2 of them are liars. But only Rose carries toothpaste but no toothbrush in her bag. That's pretty suspicious. When Vicky got better, she checked her mailbox and saw 3 messages from different music producers. Tom offered her a tour in Europe. Ryan offered Vicky to work on her first album at his record company in New York. And Joanna sent this invitation to participate in a TV show. But only one of these offers is real. Can you help Vicky make the right choice? Joanna's message is spam. She doesn't mention Vicky's name anywhere, and the text includes a suspicious link. Ryan sent Vicky a picture of his record company. But there are palm trees and a tropical forest outside the window. It's clearly not in New York. So, Vicky should pick Tom. Vicky was walking home from a rehearsal and stepped on a magical portal. She fainted and woke up in an enchanted forest. Suddenly, a wicked witch popped out of nowhere and gave Vicky a choice.
If you solve my riddle, I'll let you go. And if not, you'll get lost in this forest forever.
Here's the riddle. I can be flipped and broken, but I never move. I can be closed and opened, and sometimes removed. You can seal me with your hands. What am I? Unfortunately, Vicky failed to crack this riddle. And what about you? The correct answer is a deal. The wicked witch left Vicky alone in the forest. Vicky searched the area and found 3 paths leading to the nearest village. The first path goes through hungry wolves. Giant mutant plants are waiting in the second path. They eat all mammals, including human beings. And the third path is covered with a bunch of bugs and worms. Which way should Vicky go? Although insects are gross, they are the least harmful to humans, so Vicky should choose this path. Vicky got very hungry and decided to find some food in the village. When she came closer, she realized the gates were locked. Can you help her guess the right code? Take a look at the screen. It requires a 4-digit code. Someone decorated the gates with this symbol. It's a hint. If we divide this symbol into 4 parts, we will see that it's made up of 4 2s. So, Vicky should enter 2222 and come in. When Vicky entered the village, an angry pixie stopped her and said,
Not so fast, lady. You gotta solve one riddle first. What should you do when you see a green man?
Vicky cracked this puzzle right away. What about you? You should cross the road. Vicky solved it so easily because she was standing next to a traffic light. It turned out it wasn't an ordinary village. Various magical creatures lived here together. Vicky entered the local club and asked for some food. But the owner, Werewolf Fred, said, "If you want to eat, you gotta work." Now Vicky's job is to check the guests' ID cards. She shouldn't let suspicious persons or those under 21 get inside. Take a look at these 3 ID cards and figure out who shouldn't enter the club. The first one, Vampire, is already 21, and nothing looks suspicious in his ID, so Vicky should let him in. And this werewolf lady seems alright too. This elf's ID card says he was born on September 31st, but such a date doesn't exist. Therefore, Vicky shouldn't let the elf in. After work, Vicky went to the local supermarket to buy some food. She saw 2 attractive young ladies eating street food there. Can you tell which one of them isn't human? Take a closer look at this ice cream. Raw meat? This lady is definitely a werewolf. Vicky liked this village and decided to stay there. She met the love of her life, and 2 years later, they got engaged. Today is her wedding day. Can you guess who her husband is? It's the third guy. He's wearing a tie, which means he attended the wedding, and he's wearing a ring too.
Someone stole a rare diamond from Mr. Lauren's house. The police suspect Jack, a notorious burglar. A detective immediately goes to his house, but when Jack finds out the man doesn't have a search warrant, he doesn't let him in. In an hour, the police arrive again, this time with the warrant. They search the entire house but find nothing. They're ready to leave when one of the police officers exclaims, "I know where the diamond is!" And have you figured it out too? When the police first came to Jack, his hair was much shorter. He must be wearing a wig, and the diamond is hidden underneath. On Tuesday afternoon, a man came to the police station. He claimed his car had been stolen. Detective Brown asked the man to show him the place where it had happened. They went to a movie theater. The man said that the day before, he and his wife had come to watch a movie. They left the car in the parking lot, but when the movie was over, the car was gone. After looking around for a couple of minutes, the detective understood who the criminal was. And have you figured it out? There was no theft. The man is lying to get the insurance money. Look, there are no movies on Monday. Maria Walker, a rich businesswoman, collected ancient pieces of art. One day, she managed to buy a priceless Chinese figurine. Maria locked it in a safe in her office and went home. But the next morning, the figurine was gone.
Oh no!
The police have 3 suspects, all of them Ms. Walker's subordinates. The detective asked each of them if they had taken the figurine from the safe. Beverly said she hadn't been to the office since Monday. Ralph said, "I don't know how to open safes, and I'm not interested in Chinese art." And Vincent said he had been to Ms. Walker's office after her departure, but he only took some documents he needed. Who is the thief? It's Ralph. Otherwise, how would he know the figurine was Chinese? A man wearing a hat, a bandana covering his face, and dark sunglasses robbed a bank. The police have 3 suspects. Look at them and try to figure out which one is the criminal. Usually, people tie bandanas under their ears, but in this case, the bandana covers the ears, probably hiding something that distinguishes the man from other people. The criminal must be the man with a large earring. Jesse Harris was a pilot. Once there was an emergency during a flight. Jesse had to land the plane right on the highway. Luckily, he was a skilled professional and no one was hurt. But Jesse himself hit his head and lost his memory. When he climbed out of the plane, 2 women ran toward him. Both of them claimed he was her husband. Can you figure out who's telling the truth? The woman on the left is a robot. Look, there's a USB port in her neck. Mary was a college teacher. It was the beginning of a new school year, and 3 new students joined the class. When Mary saw them, she immediately realized something was off about one of them. Who? It's the guy in the middle. He doesn't have a shadow. Logan worked as a security officer on a small cruise ship. One day, during a severe storm, he found Mr. Lewis lying on the deck. When the man came to his senses, he said someone had hit him on the head and taken his wallet. Logan had 3 suspects. He visited them in their cabins. Linda told him she was feeling queasy because of seasickness. She couldn't even get up from her bed. Denise said she had been watching a movie on her smartphone. And Philip said he had been writing a letter to his wife. Logan immediately understood who had hit Mr. Lewis. Do you know it? It was Philip. Look at his letter. The handwriting is immaculate, but it's impossible to write so accurately during a storm. Kayla went on a business trip. She didn't have time to tell her boyfriend about her plans, so she left him a note with clues. In it, the woman wrote, "I'm in the city that is 3 of 7 chicken, 2 of 3 cat, and 1 of 2 goat. I'll be here for a week. Come visit me." Do you know where Kayla's boyfriend should go? To Chicago. Yeah. Look at these guys carefully. Can you tell which one has drawn the graffiti? It's the guy on the left. He has some spray paint on his hoodie. Alan was driving along a small country road when he saw that someone had crashed their car into a tree. A moment later, he spotted a man running toward him. "Help me, please! I was moving rather slowly when a truck suddenly cut me off. I lost control of my car and crashed into a tree." Alan gave the man a lift to the police station in the nearest town. They found the truck driver surprisingly fast. He was right near the doors of the police station. But the man denied cutting the smaller car off. He claimed he was going to the police to report the accident. Suddenly, Alan realized who was lying. Have you figured it out? Look at the tire tracks. It's obvious that those left by the truck go over the ones left by the car. It means the truck couldn't have cut the smaller car off, and its driver is lying. Several police officers were called to a hotel. One of the employees was found unconscious on the floor. The police checked the cameras to figure out what had happened. They didn't see the criminal, but now they had 3 suspects, all of them hotel guests. Sarah said, "I heard some noise, but I stayed in my room because I was scared." James told the police he had been outside. He was trying to catch a taxi to go sightseeing. And Damien said he had been sleeping at home at the time of the accident. Who is lying? Damien. He's a hotel guest. Then how could he be at home sleeping? Beverly was making dinner in the kitchen when she heard glass shatter. She rushed to the living room and saw the window broken. Someone had thrown a stone that was now lying in the middle of the room. Beverly called the police, but they didn't manage to figure out who the culprit was. The next day, when Beverly came home from work, she saw something on her doormat. It was a note. Williamson was the surname of Beverly's neighbors. There were 3 teenagers in that family, Mark, Roy, and Natalie. Which one broke the window? It was Mark. The note says, Williamson. Bruce owned a large store that sold expensive designer items. Recently, there have been several thefts there. The man asked his friend Gabriel, who was a police detective, to check what was going on. Gabriel spent 2 hours in the store. When he left it, he knew who the thief was and who was guilty of these crimes. The thief was the detective himself. He easily stole a pair of costly sunglasses to prove that the store security was very bad. That's the reason for so many thefts. One of these young women has a dog. Can you tell which one? It's the girl on the left. Her pooch has torn her sneakers. When Amy entered the office, she noticed that her colleague Emma was very upset. It was just the beginning of the workday, but someone had already stolen her purse. Only those who worked in the company could get into the office. Amy started her own investigation. Jenna, who worked in IT, said she'd been fixing somebody's computer. Joanna, the secretary, answered she'd been on the phone with some clients. James, the sales manager, said, "I've been in a 3-hour-long meeting. I'm exhausted." Amy knew right away who had taken the purse. Can you figure it out? It's James. The working day has just started. How could he be in such a long meeting? There are 2 towns near each other. People who always tell the truth live in one of them. Liars live in the other. The inhabitants of the towns often visit each other. What question should you ask a passerby to find out which town you're in? Ask them, "Are you a guest here?" If they answer yes, you're in the town of liars. If they say no, you're in the town where honest people live. When it's raining, the cat is either in the room or in the basement. When the cat is in the room, the mouse is in the burrow and the cheese is in the fridge. If the cheese is on the table and the cat is in the basement, the mouse is in the room. Right now, it's raining and the cheese is on the table. Where are the cat and the mouse? The cat can be in two places, either in the room or in the basement. But at the moment, the cat can't be in the room because the cheese is not in the fridge, it's on the table. It means the cat is in the basement. And since the cheese is on the table and the cat is in the basement, the mouse must be in the room. Dora was on her way to work. When she was passing by a dark alley, she heard a loud scream. The woman came a bit closer to check it out. Someone was shouting, "Help! Help me!" But as soon as Dora saw the alley, she immediately called the police and ran away. Why? It was a trap. There were two kinds of footprints going into the alley, but no footprints coming out.
Bobby and Martha have been together for a while. Tonight, Bobby arrived at her apartment with a diamond ring, hoping to propose to her. But as soon as he entered the place, he realized something was wrong. The living room was a mess, and Martha was absent. Do you see any clues that Bobby can use to find his girlfriend? Look at the mirror. Martha drew an encoded message with her lipstick. There's cherry and 3 numbers. 1, 8, 5. But what does it mean? The numbers correspond with 3 months: January, August, and May. The first letters of these months form the word jam. So Bobby should take a look inside the cherry jam jar. Bobby opened the jar and discovered the next clue. He found this piece of paper with the following image. Can you help him crack the code? Each bug has a unique number of legs. The first is 5, the second is 3, the third is 8, and so on. The result is a 10-digit phone number that Bobby should call. Bobby made a call, but someone hung up. Instead, they sent him this emoji message. Can you guess what this rebus means? Try to say these words out loud, and you'll get 1. Okay, lock, tea, rain, or 1 o'clock train. Bobby hurried to the railway station to catch the train at 1 a.m. It was leaving for Paris. The cashier had only 2 tickets left. Fortunately, they're offered at huge discounts. There's a first-class coupe ticket priced at $300, but it's 20% off. And there's a super luxury coupe with a private bathroom for $600. Bob can purchase this ticket with a 60% discount. Can you guess which option is better for Bobby? With the discount, both tickets have a similar price, $240. So, Bobby should probably buy the luxury coupe and enjoy his private bathroom. Bobby got on the train and dozed off for a while. When he woke up, he noticed someone had put a note in his hands. Bobby ran to the next railway car and saw 3 passengers there. He spotted the imposter right away. What about you? This guy on the left is reading his book upside down. The train arrived in Paris and the suspicious guy ran away. Bobby followed him to the basement of the railway station. The guy disappeared, but Bobby got lost. He wandered around for a while and saw these 3 elevators with trapdoors on the roofs. To escape from the basement, he must climb out through one of the trapdoors. But there's one problem. Each elevator has something on the hatch: fire, heavy stones, and a flowing water pipe. Can you help Bobby make the right choice? He should choose the third elevator, open the hatch, and wait until the water is collected. Then he can climb out through the trapdoor. Finally, Bobby got out and found himself in the middle of Paris. He checked his pockets and found the note that someone had given him on the train. It said, "What can run but never walks, has a mouth but never talks, has a head but never weeps, has a bed but never sleeps." Can you help him crack the next clue? The correct answer is a river. Therefore, Bobby should walk towards the river. At the embankment, a mime clown approached Bobby and said, "Let's play a game. I'll give you the next clue if you crack my riddle. Pierre shaves every day, but still, he has a long beard. How is that possible?" Have you guessed? Pierre is a barber. The mime handed Bobby car keys and pointed to this parking lot with 3 identical cars. Can you help Bobby decide which car belongs to the key? This one. Don't try to look for clues in the key. Bobby's name is written on the left side of the car window. Bobby got into the car but didn't know where to go. Can you find any clues inside the car? There's a picture of a lion in the place where people usually put the navigation. Therefore, Bobby should go to Lyon. Bobby hit the road. After a while, he noticed 3 hitchhikers at the gas station. Since he's driving a 2-seater car, Bobby can pick only one person. Can you advise whom he should choose? This pretty woman is a runaway criminal. Look at the poster on the station wall. It's her face. And this harmless-looking old lady is a werewolf. Look at her toes. She has already begun to transform because it's a full moon. Although, the third guy looks like a boxer. He's still the safest option among them. Bobby made a stop in a picturesque village to grab some food. He ordered a meal and prepared to pay, but he didn't find his wallet. A thief took it and ran away. Bobby followed him, but the criminal was running too fast. He hid in one of these 3 cabins. Can you help Bobby identify where the thief is hiding? There are no traces around the first house. No one walked around it for a while. As for the third house, there are too many people inside it. The thief had very fashionable but very dirty shoes. Remember the footprints he left on the floor in the cafe? The same tracks lead to the second house. Bobby entered the house and met the thief in the kitchen. The thief said, "If you crack my riddle, I'll give you back your wallet. So, listen carefully. I have 19 plastic mugs, out of which all but 7 were lost. How many mugs do I have now?" Can you help Bobby out? The phrase "all but 7 were lost" means that all his mugs were lost except 7. Therefore, the correct answer is 7. Bobby received his wallet back. He found this clue inside it and hit the road immediately. Can you guess, where did he go? To the fountain at the central square in Lyon. Bobby made a stop because he needed to visit a toilet. He left the car in the parking lot near the local supermarket. When he returned, he faced some bad news. Someone left scratches on the car. Bobby decided to interrogate 3 people standing nearby. Josh said, "I didn't see anything suspicious. I've been shopping inside the supermarket when this crime happened." Bella said,
"Sorry, I was walking the dog and filming a video for my social media. I didn't even look at the parking lot."
And Kyle said, I've just arrived to grab some milk. I have to hurry. My wife is waiting for me at home. Who's lying? Josh, take a look at his bag. He has greenery sticking out of it. You can find the same greenery at the crime scene. Finally, Bobby reached the destination. Near the fountain, he noticed 3 musicians wearing hats and mustaches. They prepared to play a concert. One of these musicians is fake. Can you find out who exactly? The second musician isn't real. There are no strings on his guitar. Bobby approached the fake musician. It turned out to be his girlfriend Martha in disguise. She offered him 3 boxes to choose from. One of the boxes has a ring. There's a statement on each box, but only one of them is true. Can you help Bobby find the ring? If the ring is in the first box, there are 2 true statements. And if the ring is in the third box, there are also 2 true statements. But we need only 1 true statement. That's why the ring is in the second box. Bobby opened the box. He saw a beautiful engagement ring. Martha asked, "Will you marry me?" Bobby replied, "Yes, if you manage to crack my riddle." What question can you never answer yes to? Martha gave the correct answer, and they got engaged. What about you? Have you solved this mystery? There are several possible answers. Here's one of them. Is everything you say a lie? Hey, ready for some Valentine's Day riddles? Look at these 3 guys. Which of them is going on a date tonight?
Hello.
It must be this one. He has a little wrapped present, probably for his date. Now let's peek inside a restaurant. Which of the 3 girls is on a date? It's this one. Look, there are roses and 2 sets of dishes on the table. So she's not alone, and it's something romantic. My money is on her. This is Allison, and one of these 3 young men is her boyfriend. Can you tell who? It's this one. Look, they have matching tattoos. Take a look at these 2 proposals. Which one of them is fake? This one. Look, the guy has a ring. He's clearly already married. It was Friday evening, and Mark was waiting for his girlfriend to get back from work. He prepared dinner and was about to propose. His girlfriend came back home with flowers. Do you think she was on a date with someone? No, she wasn't. Look outside. The same flowers grow in their garden. She just picked some before entering the house. On Valentine's Day, Annika found a love note on her desk. Unfortunately, the note wasn't signed, but she had 3 suspects. So she asked each of them if they had written her a note. Dylan said, "I was busy finishing my math homework before class." Connor said, "I was hanging out with my buddies outside." And Luke said, "I was in the bathroom and I just returned." Who wrote Annika the letter? It was Luke. Look, his hands are covered in red ink. That's the color used in the letter. Also, if he had really been to the bathroom, his hands would be clean. On Valentine's Day, Jess found a note in her locker. But the note was weird. It was just a sequence of random letters. Or was it some code? Can you help Jess read the note and figure out who sent it to her? course it's a code. Look, there are 5 groups of letters with 5 letters in each group. Let's put them into a 5x5 table. And now, we need to read this vertically, column by column. Will you go out with me, Colton? So where's that Colton? Michelle was hosting a Valentine's Day party. She invited all her school friends, and everyone was allowed to bring a +1. Either their significant other or a single friend. In the middle of the party, she noticed that her cousin was in the garden talking to some girl, but it was dark and she couldn't tell which girl it was. She just saw that the girl had long hair. When her cousin returned, she knew immediately who he was interested in. Here are 3 girls with long hair. Who was outside with Michelle's cousin? Look, Michelle's cousin has a lipstick stain. The girl must have left it, and this girl right here is wearing lipstick of the same shade. On a cold, rainy night, Damon was driving past a bus stop. There were 3 people there waiting for their bus. An elderly lady who looked sick, a doctor who had saved many lives, and Addison, a girl Damon had a crush on for years. Unfortunately, there was only room for one more person in his car. What should Damon do? He should give his car to the doctor, who would then take the lady to the hospital. And Damon can stay at the bus stop waiting for the bus with the girl of his dreams. Looking like a hero in her eyes.
Yeah.
Let's take a little break now. Have you seen any romantic movies? Well, I hope so, because I'll be showing you some emojis, and your task will be to guess what romantic movie they stand for. Okay, here's the first very easy one. Of course, that's Titanic. Here's the next one. Nothing much, but it should be clear. Do you know this movie? It's The Notebook. What about this one? A relatively recent remake was a great success. Can you recognize it? It's A Star is Born. Here's the next one. Do you think you can guess it right? It's Before Sunrise. The next set of emojis illustrates another very well-known love story. Can you guess it right? It's La La Land, of course. Here's the last one. It's an oldie but a goodie. What do you think? Everyone's favorite, The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with Kate Winslet and Jim Carrey. It was Valentine's Day, and Nicole wanted to put a little present in the locker of the student she had a crush on. Unfortunately, she didn't know the code. Luckily for her, the owner of the locker was forgetful too, so there was a note with a hint. Can you figure out the combination? Each number is the number of lines in the respective letter. There is just 1 line in I, 4 lines in M, 3 in H, and 2 in T. So, following the same logic, there are 4 lines in E, 2 in L, 2 in V, and 3 in Z. So the combination is 4, 2, 2, 3. Okay, here's another code for you to crack. This time, you need to help Eric. He wants to get his wife a nice Valentine's Day gift, but he is absolutely clueless about what she wants. So, the plan is to break into her computer, check her shopping cart, and get something from there. The problem is that the computer requires a passcode, and the man doesn't know it. Luckily, there's a note on the desk, so he types in 6198. But the passcode is wrong. Can you figure out what the correct passcode is? The note is just turned upside down. Eric should try typing in 8619 instead. Kennedy works in the emergency room. It's Valentine's Day and there's a patient who felt unwell during a college party. Kennedy leaves the room because she needs to talk to the patient's girlfriend. She was at the party with him. Which young woman should she approach? Who is the guy's date? Keep in mind that the couple was at a party, so they must be dressed nicely. The patient's date is most likely this woman in a pretty dress. Now, let's do some exercises to train your eyes. Here's a bunch of hearts. Can you find one broken heart? Yes, here it is. Good job. The task is similar, but not quite. Now there are many hearts and a few broken hearts. How many broken hearts are there? There are 5 broken hearts here. Have you found them all?
Dennis is a talented architect. He's designed a unique skyscraper, and right now, the construction works are starting. His boss asked Dennis to show around a group of specialists from a competitor company. The only condition was that they weren't allowed to take any photos. Dennis did as he was told, but when the group was going to leave, he asked security to detain one man. The architect claimed he had been taking photos during the tour around the site. How did he understand it? The man was carrying an umbrella. He kept pointing it at different objects, asking lots of questions. But the sky is cloudless. What does he need an umbrella for? A camera must be hidden there. Nathan came to his friend Zachary, who worked in a museum. "Look what I've got, a priceless manuscript that was written more than 1,000 years ago." Zachary looked through the manuscript and realized his friend had been fooled. Does anything in this text strike you as strange? If we talk about the dates before the Common Era, they should be in reverse order. The original text would read, King Alfred V ruled the country from 1320 to 1290 BCE. Detective Aaron Jones got a call late at night. It was his neighbor. "I've heard a very loud noise coming from the house next door. I'm afraid to go there to investigate alone, but what if something has happened?" When Aaron and his neighbor arrived at the place, they saw the entrance door open. They ran inside and found the house owner, Mr. Anderson, on the floor of his bedroom, tied and moaning in pain. He said he had been in bed reading a book, and then a man in a black mask broke into his room and hit him on the head. Then he tied Mr. Anderson, took all his money and other valuables, and disappeared. Detective Jones didn't believe the man. Why? Look at his bed. There isn't even a wrinkle on the cover. It's unlikely that the thief made the bed after tying Mr. Anderson, which means the man is lying. Look at this group of people and try to figure out who the man's wife is. It's the woman in purple. Both she and the biker are wearing matching wedding rings. Joan took part in an experiment, testing her logical thinking and analytical skills. She had to crack riddles to get to the next level. Right now, the girl is locked in a small room. The door will open automatically once she figures out the riddle written on a piece of paper. Which principle is this sequence based on? 8549176320. The numbers are lined up based on the alphabetical order of the first and second letters of their name. 8, 5, 4, 9, and so on. Joan managed to get out of the room and is ready for the next task. This time, the girl needs to join all the blue points on the screen, but she's allowed to use only 3 lines. How can she do it? She's drawn a triangle. Its 3 sides include all the dots. The next level is rather scary. Joan is locked in a room that's slowly filling with water. This process will only stop when the girl figures out how this equation can be true. 29 minus 1 equals 30. Even under these stressful conditions, Joan managed to crack the puzzle. She replaced the numbers with the Roman numerals. XXIX minus I equals XXX. Then she removed the 1 I from 29 XXIX and got 30 XXX. Wow, this was a riddle with a lot of excess. And finally, Joan is given the last test. She needs to figure out which object is the odd one and doesn't belong to the group. Can you do the same? It's the first object. It's the only one that doesn't have any individual traits. The second object is uniquely round. The third doesn't have a red line around it. The fourth shape is a different color, and the fifth one is smaller than the rest. 2 cars are driving through the city. They both started their journey at the same time. The green one is moving at a speed of 30 miles per hour. The yellow one is faster. Its speed is 50 miles per hour. And still, at one point, the green car comes across the yellow car. How is it possible? Well, the cars were traveling in opposite directions. Look at this teenager and 2 women behind his back. Who is his real teacher? The answer is in the reflection behind their backs. You can see that both women are holding pointers, but in the mirror, only one of them has it. She is the real teacher. 2 men are going to fill their watering cans with water from the river. Who will bring more water? The spout of the older man's watering can is situated lower than the spout of the other man's can, and the level of water can't be higher than the spout. It means the younger man will bring more water. Evelyn wants to visit one unusual restaurant, but to get there, one must know the password. The girl hides around the corner to figure it out. She sees a man come up to the security guard. The guard says 12. The man answers 6 and is allowed to come in. Then a young woman approaches the security guard. He says 6, and she answers 3. Evelyn is sure she has figured out the pattern. She comes up to the security guard and hears him say 4. The girl says 2, and isn't allowed to enter. Why? The password is always different. It's the number of letters in the word the security guard says. Like the word 12 has 6 letters. That's why Evelyn should have answered 4. A manager of the most luxurious sea resort in the area called the police. She said someone had stolen a set of very expensive monogrammed bed linen. 3 guests left the hotel that morning: Mr. Sam Taylor, Mrs. Amanda Martin, and Mr. Michael Smith. The police detained one of the guests and indeed found the bed linen in their suitcase. How did the detectives figure out which person was the thief? As you can see, the hotel's name is Morning Star. This means the monogram on the bed linen was MS. The only person with the same initials is Mr. Michael Smith. Hannah called her friend, Detective Evelyn Marks, and asked her to come as soon as possible. While the woman was away walking with her dog, someone had gotten into her house and stolen her laptop. Hannah was sure it was her neighbor, Jeremy. Evelyn went to question the man, but he wasn't at home. She decided to wait for him in her car. Soon she saw Jeremy opening his entrance door. "I went fishing early in the morning. Don't you see that I've just come home?" But Hannah didn't believe Jeremy and took him to the police station. Why? The guy was wearing white sneakers, but it's been raining since early morning. If he was out fishing, how can his shoes look so clean? Detective Jacob Robinson was spending his vacation in the mountains. One morning, he found out someone had stolen a big sum of money from the owner of the hotel where he was staying. Jacob offered the man his help and questioned all the hotel guests. Emma said, "I felt unwell and spent all the evening in my room." Lewis explained to the detective that he had only arrived at 2 a.m. and had gone straight to bed. And Simon said, "I've got friends living here in the village. I went to visit them and returned in the morning, just an hour ago." Detective Robinson immediately realized who was guilty. Do you know it? It was Simon. Look at the snow around the hotel. It looks untouched, with no footprints whatsoever. Then how did Simon get back from the village? Mrs. Williamson told her daughter Maya she wasn't allowed to see her boyfriend Luke until she prepared for her exam. After that, the woman went shopping. When she was coming back, she spotted Luke, who was walking along the street. When Mrs. Williamson returned home, she immediately realized Maya had seen her boyfriend. How did the woman figure it out? When she was leaving, there were 5 roses in the vase on the kitchen table. Now there were only 4, and when she saw Luke, he was carrying a rose. Private Detective Sean was waiting for his client in the lobby of a large hotel. The client was running very late. That's why, to entertain himself, Sean was observing the hotel guests. He noticed a man at the reception desk. He had 4 suitcases, but refused when the porter offered to help him with the baggage. The man went to his room, only to reappear 5 minutes later with the largest of his suitcases. Half an hour later, he returned without the suitcase and went to his room. Soon, he rushed to the reception shouting, "My suitcases, they're gone!" Sean introduced himself and, together with the hotel management, joined the man in his room. Something seemed off about the guy, and soon the detective realized he was a fraudster. What did the man do? Each of his suitcases was smaller than the previous one. The man packed all of them into the largest suitcase and left with it. And then he pretended someone had stolen his things. Detective Taylor was chasing a dangerous criminal. Suddenly, the man entered a hospital, but there are hundreds of rooms there. Luckily, it was raining, and the criminal left footprints on the floor. The detective followed them and got into a small room. There were 3 people there. All of them were covered in bandages from head to toe. But one of them was a fake patient. Who? It's the